All right, Shalom, Shalom. This is your brother Issachar coming back at you with another lesson. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makwak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect and the 144,000 scattered across the four corners of the earth. Shalom to you. Alright, in today's lesson, we're going to talk about the Chariots of Israel. Alright, we're going to go into the Chariots of Israel, and which are known in this world as the so-called UFOs, the so-called UAPs. Alright, so we're going to go into some scriptures and precepts, that talk about those ships, okay? Because those spaceships, alright, the so-called UFOs, UAPs, they're indeed are in the scriptures. They're all throughout the Bible. So we're gonna start off today in 2 Kings, chapter 6, and we're gonna go down. Right here, 2 Kings, chapter 6. In verse 16, and he answered, "Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them." Okay, because right here, an army, an army have, they surrounded, Elisha, all right, and his master. So he was saying, "Man, what are we gonna do?" You guys, read if you want, read that whole chapter, but I'm just going to hit the main points so I can, just focus on the chariots here. All right. So, Elisha was like, "Hey, man, what are we going to do? There's a whole army surrounding us." And, his master said, "Fear not." Right here, we have, 2 Kings chapter 6 and verse 16. And he answered, "Fear not." So those of you who believe in the Lord, fear not. So same thing, because we're surrounded by, UN troops. The elites want to shut everything down, starve a lot of people out, put people in guillotines, betray them, persecute them. Same deal. The Lord saying, "Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them." Because the left-hand side, Illuminati, Skull and Bones, whatever, the shadow elite, if you will, they do have power. There's no doubt about that. But they because they get their power from demons. This is where they're witches and warlocks, how they get their inspiration, because through baby sacrifice, and that's real, because they do a human sacrifice. That's very real. So when you hear stuff like that, like people doing sacrifices and stuff like that, like Bohemian Grove and all that, that's 100% real. Because that's their power. So that's you got to understand that's very real. We're not gonna go too far into detail and all that, but just know that it's real. All right, and so that's how they get their power. But that power's through wickedness. You see, it's on the left-hand side, but the right-hand side is stronger. This is what the Lord's telling those of you that believe in the Lord. Yeah, I know, they have power. They have control of the world for right now, but the Lord's telling the elect out there, fear not. Verse 17, and Elisha prayed and said, "Lord Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see." And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. See that? Because the spiritual realm is all around us. All right, because remember, just because you don't see an angel right there, just because you don't see like every now and then, those of you that have seen them or recorded them, the so-called UFOs, if you see them, that's because the Lord wanted you to see them. Wasn't that you got lucky and hey, I saw one. No, it was meant for you to see. All right, remember that. Okay, but the angels and the principalities, even the chariots, the ships, they're around. They're around the hopeful elect 24 hours. All right, so remember that. This is why the wicked, because the wicked, if they were capable, they would have. If there was no hedge protecting them, the elect, the wicked, the left hand side, they would have already rolled on the elect, and excuse my Italian, but we gotta go raw. They would have killed everybody already, men, women, and children. They would have been done it, but they can't. All right, and that's not that's like confidential, because that's like classified information, because they've already tried. All right, there's a like a silent war going on right now between the left hand side, the elites, the Illuminati and all them. All right, they're top witches and warlocks because they have their teams out here, and they're trying to take out like the believers. That's the thing. There's some of the elect have to be martyrs. Remember that. All right, so that's only a few. But that person is not gonna like. Let's say if that person has to be a martyr, that person is gonna hold it down all the way to the end. Facts. All right, and then those who the rest, like who the elites want to get, if the Lord says no, they can't do it. It doesn't matter what their best assassin, their top hunters, they can't do it. But Esau with his top lasers, his top jets, he can't take them out. No matter how hard he gets, no matter how mad he gets. This is why the Lord's saying, just be still, don't worry about it. Because you guys can't really see the angelic forces. Because the angels are always out here. Alright, and the wicked, yeah, they get mad, they get mad and stuff, but can they do anything? They can't. Only to those that the Lord says, okay, you can do that to that person. But that's because the Lord permitted that. Alright? But because if the wicked were able, they would have already taken out all the elect. They would have already taken them out. But they can't. See, and they've already tried and they failed. So it's not like, we're gonna see what happens. A lot of people don't even know that that's going on right now. Because the left hand side, they're trying like desperately, and they can't. Nothing works, Remember, that's right, that scripture's written, no weapon formed against thee shall prosper. And why is that? Because the Lord and the angels are right there, all right, at all times. Just because you can't see them, they're all around you guys. Those of you that believe in the Lord, the angels and the ships, they're all around you, like more than it's beyond your comprehension, So and see, and the wicked, they know that. The top elites, they know that, but they're not going to share that information, like with their teams and all that. They're just going to tell them, just keep on doing what you're doing. But that's something that you got to understand. All right, facts. All right, so they can't, because they know that whoever's covered, they can't take them out. That's how it works. And the top elites on the left hand side, they know that, because they know how things work. But that's why this is why these scriptures are written. This is why the Lord has His prophets to let you know what's going on. To give you guys, you have a little bit of comfort, to know like what's going on and how things work. Because if you get a more better understanding, you're gonna be less fearful. Because when you first hear about the elites and all that, you're like, damn, you're kind of frightful, like, man, what the, what are we gonna do? But once you learn about the Lord and the angels, then you're like, oh damn, like, hey, we do have help, Then you learn like, okay, yeah, there's a chance that I may not make it, but if I believe in the Lord, at least it's a chance, because that the Lord is telling you by his prophets, like what's really going on out here. It's not just a fairy tale and, the Lord and the angels. No, it's very real. 100% real. All right, to let you know that the Lord is with his elect. Absolutely. Psalm 68:17. The chariots of Yahweh, the Most High, are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai in the holy place. All right, so the chariots. All right, so let's go to here we go here. Where are we at? So the chariots of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai are 20,000. So what are the chariots of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai? These things right here. Okay? These things right here, what people call so-called UFOs. Right there. Alright, you guys ever seen those strange lights? You know what I'm saying? You ever seen those strange lights? You ever seen all those orbs? Okay, these things right here. These are the vehicles of the angels. Alright, they're not aliens. They are the angels. Alright, this world, sometimes they'll call them like titans. I don't know, but there's no such thing as aliens. Alright, there's demons, there's angels that they can look very frightful. Because remember, the angels can shapeshift. Alright, the angels are like the real transformers because they can shapeshift. The angels can look, come down looking like, straight up, like you won't even know. It'll look like a person, walking down the sidewalk. You have no idea, like that's an angel right there in disguise. You won't even know, An angel can transform, can do all kinds of stuff, all kinds of stuff, kind of like a shapeshifter. So the angels can do a lot, like a lot. So these are the chariots of Israel right here, just so you guys are just kind of following here. All right, these things right here, the so-called UFOs. I'm sure a lot of you know about it, but those of you that because there may be some that you haven't really been paying attention. We had to just break it all the way down. So the Lord is coming in that in those ships. All right, I think the Lord is among them. So the chariots of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai are 10,000. That just means a perfect amount of number because there's millions and millions of angels, beyond. All right, there's more angels than there are mortals. All right, because remember, this is just one planet. All right, it's big out there. Okay, there's other realms out there, other planets out there. All right, the galaxies, the universe is huge. Right here, in that verse that we just read, Psalm 68:17, the chariots of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai are 20,000 because there's thousands of millions, trillions of ships out there. Okay. It says the Lord is among them because the Lord is among those ships. All right, and also the angels. So the Lord and the angels inside those ships. So the Lord is telling his people and the world, what those ships are and who are inside them. But those who don't believe and say, oh no, those are straight aliens or whatever, that's on you now, that's your opinion. All right. So the Lord just because the Lord is gonna tell you what it is, But this is why those in the truth, we don't really worry too much, because if someone don't believe, that's all right, because it's not gonna make a difference. Because if someone don't believe, it doesn't mean that it's gonna make that untrue, all of a sudden. No, because facts are facts. All right, because the Lord's coming back with the angels in those ships, so it doesn't matter. Like, let's say someone don't believe, that don't matter. That just means that that person right there don't believe, And if he convinces his whole family to believe like him or her, then that's on them now. Is that gonna affect the rest of the world? Not at all. All right, because that's just what people. If people don't believe that, that's just what you feel. All right, that's just what you believe, because according to your belief. But remember, a lot of people, you guys didn't create yourself. You didn't create this planet, So a lot of people, they're just kind of guessing, like, because they're judging according to their emotions, and that's fine. I mean, that's just if that's what they want to do, hey, that's what they want to do. But that don't mean that it's facts. And whether people believe or not, it's not going to change anything. You know, it's kind of like if someone's warning you, telling you, "Hey, man, there's a bus coming. Be careful." You know, if that person doesn't look and say, "Yeah, right," okay, that don't change the fact that that bus is coming and that person's about to get ran over. Just like that. If someone's telling you, "Hey, there's a bus right there," you know, don't cross the street. Be careful. And someone says, "Ah, yeah, right," you know, like, "Hey, don't talk to me," you know, like, "You loser," or something like that. That's that person's choice now. But is that person still gonna get hit by a bus? Absolutely, because the bus is coming. You know, and that person's standing in the middle of the street looking at his phone. See? So that's how it is with non-believers. Because, like, okay, well, suit yourself. But we're telling you, hey, look, that bus is right there. Be careful, you know, get the heck out of the way. But if people roll their eyes and say, oh, there's no bus there, when you haven't even looked. See? That's how a lot of people are, because you have, people have like a chip on their shoulder. They have pride because they haven't even checked it out. You know, because so when we tell the world that the Lord looks like a so-called black man, all right, and that the angels are inside those ships, a lot of you guys are like that person that crossed the street, okay? Because you haven't even looked yet. Like, have you even checked it out yet? Have you even, checked it out what we're saying? Because we're not just saying, yeah, just believe us and that's it. Everybody else is fucked up. No, we encourage you to, what we're saying. Check it out. Run the numbers, see if it adds up. You know. Yeah, because we're not just like, oh yeah, just believe us and that's it. Don't ask us no questions. Ask us anything you want, mijo. Ask us anything you want, mijo. Whatever you want. You know, facts. And then too, everything that the teachers and prophets of Yahweh Shem El Shai tell you, fact check it out. See if those numbers don't add up. Check it out. And then make your decision. Because a lot of you are like that person that crossing the street. You're just saying, oh, there ain't no bus there. Meanwhile, looking at your phone in the middle of the street when there's a bus there. Like, you haven't even looked yet. You're just like that person, just telling that person, yeah, right, don't talk to me, Well, without even looking, like, yeah, you haven't even looked yet. You just made that decision on your own. See, that's because that pride. So that pride is going to destroy a lot of people. Because a lot of people, you feel that you're right, but you haven't even checked it out yourself yet. You haven't even looked. Like, well, did you even look? You're just kind of making a conscious decision, like, well, shit, and it's not a wise one. You just, because a lot of people, are their own bosses now. You can't tell them nothing, excuse my Italian, but you have something now called a boss bitch. You can't tell her nothing. It's like, damn, man. I mean, there's some good women out there, of course. The daughters of Zion, remember that? You're very beautiful, you're very strong. To the righteous women out there, all right. But it's like, damn, when people get real, when people, start to get things in their lives, like, you can't even talk to them, and you know how that is out there. Sometimes when people make manager, they start making money. It's like, they forget who they were. They think like their shit don't stink, and it's like, damn, you can't even talk to these people now. That's that pride, because that's a terrible thing to have. Because now it's like, oh, that person, what, you can't tell them anything. See, so a lot of those people are gonna be destroyed because you don't even have time for a warning, and you don't even have time to look to see, like, oh, all right, let me see if there's a bus there. You're just telling that person to shut up when there's a bus right there, clearly. So that's exactly how we are with non-believers. I mean, because whether you talk crap about us or not, the bus is still right there. It's not gonna change anything. You see, so that's why there's not really use of getting mad at this point, because we're so close to society shutting down, wars breaking out, people starving. It's gonna be very terrible out here. You have more hurricanes and tornadoes happening in the U.S. It's getting bad. The Lord's judging this. It's gonna get worse and worse out here. Remember that. It's not just like the wars and famines. The Lord's gonna bring crazy weather out here. This world's about to see a lot. Because remember, it's the Lord you're talking about here. So can you imagine, like, when you had crazy storms back in the day when it was raining real hard, and that's just a big storm. Imagine when the Lord brings judgments, how bad the storm's gonna be, how big, because the Lord can just bring a tornado anywhere, out of anywhere. The Lord can bring big old hail, all kinds of stuff. Because remember, it's not just the left-hand side. The Lord's gonna be doing a lot out here. The Lord's gonna be having animals attack people. a lot, a lot. You know, it's gonna get very scary out here. Because if you're not fearful of the Lord, then man, you got issues, man. You know, because like in a very windy day when it rains real hard, you're like, damn, things get all messed up, things are flooded. All right, and that's just like a big storm. Imagine when the Lord brings like judgments. This is what a lot of people are not, remembering. You're not thinking about, because the Lord's gonna bring hurricanes, strong like 200 miles an hour winds. Who knows? What the Lord's about to bring. All right, the Lord's about to jack this place up. This is what, brace yourselves now. You know? 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 and verse 6. Seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High, Yahweh, to recompense tribulation. So recompense means payback. Tribulation to them that trouble you. So yeah, see that? So the Lord is going to pay back everyone who's been doing like bad stuff to you guys that believe. The angels are right there taking it all down. All right. So don't worry. The Lord's saying he's gonna pay all you guys back. All right. Vengeance is the Lord's. That's something you have to understand. If in the worst case, sometimes you gotta defend yourself, because like let's say someone tries to get physical or whatever, but the Lord encourages us to be spiritual, but by any means, if your life is threatened or someone tries to hit you, of course defend yourself, because of course, but you don't have to like go around like looking to be like a badass and start looking for trouble and stuff like that, trying to like pay back your enemies. Don't worry about it. Just stay on the path, and the Lord and the angels are going to take care of them. All right, you have to really believe that. All right. 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 7. And to you who are troubled, rest with us when the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai shall be revealed. Because the Lord's gonna come in through a portal, what this world calls a wormhole. All right, because the Lord's coming from a whole nother realm, a whole nother dimension. Remember that. When the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, see it says Jesus right here, but that word Jesus is remember that word Jesus is like watered down English. All right, so right there, Jesus. Okay, it means G means earth. Sus is Spanish for sucia, pig. In Spanish you say, hey, that person's sucio, man, sucia. Because that person's a pig or whatever. All right, that's what that means. Sus. G earth, sus, so it means earth pig. Okay, then it's watered down English. It's not, because it's not Greek. If it was Greek, it would be Jesus. All right, so that word right there is it's like watered down English. And remember, those of you who haven't heard the breakdown, the letter J wasn't invented till 1524 by John Trissino. The letter J is the last letter of your guys' English alphabet. Okay, and it's an extension of the letter I. Like you guys, sometimes people have like a selfie stick or an umbrella. You know how you kind of extend it? Just like that, okay? Just like that. All right. Oh, or you remember like back in the 90s when people had like those antennas on their cars? The 80s, the 90s, remember how their antennas would go up? Remember that? Like that, okay? Because it's an extension. The letter J is an extension of the letter I. All right, and there wasn't the letter J wasn't invented till 1524. Plus, just real fast, nobody was speaking English when the time Yahweh Shai walked the earth a little over 2,000 years ago. They were speaking Latin, Greek, and Hebrew. All right, so the English language wasn't even invented to 400 AD, and to 400 AD. Imagine. And it came out of Germany, the language English, and it didn't come about to 400 AD. All right, so it's impossible that his name is Jesus. All right, that's just to give you right there all the facts right there of what that word Jesus means. Okay, it's English. All right, the letter J is it's out of there. All right, nobody was even speaking English. All right, and then plus the Lord is not a Greek. Okay, he's not from England. The Lord's a Hebrew, so he has a Hebrew name. Okay, All right, that word right there, Jesus, is not Hebrew at all. Okay, uh, the Lord has a Hebrew name, So you're saying that, these dudes think that, so, the Son of Man, the Son of the Most High has an English name? Yeah, right, Everybody spoke Hebrew. All right, so he has a Hebrew name. The Lord, the Messiah, the Son of the Most High, his name is Yahweh Shai. Okay, he was born in Bethlehem, Judea. All right, so he's a Hebrew Israelite, just like us. Okay, Hebrew is our language, and Hebrew means from the past. Israelite, that means Israel means he is a prince of the power, because right there it means he is a prince of the power because you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, you guys are the sons and daughters of Yahweh, and that's literal. Okay, remember how the whole world thought that it was the small hats? See, but the world didn't have a problem with it when they came up with that lie, right? But now that the world is finding out that it's the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, these heathens are like, now they're raging like, oh hell no, nah. Anybody but them. Like what? Miguel, Jose, nah, hell no. Nah. Maria, Lupita, like nah. Ruben, like nah, no way. Yes way. See, so now the world has a problem. See, because they've been calling us the N-word, wetbacks and all that. Now, now they're like, oh shit. Oh shit is right, because all these heathens have been talking trash this whole time. But that's all right. The Lord's gonna get them all back for that. Because you know how those of you that are Israelites, when you go to the store or you go to so-called white neighborhoods, you know how they look at you. You can feel it, But that's okay, because the same way they're looking at you, like, oh, look at this, we're just speaking for edification purposes, okay? People say, like, they'll say, oh, fucking wetback or whatever, beaners, or they'll say stuff like that, They'll say tonsils or whatever, You know how it is. It's because they're trying to be polite, but they really want to call us like the N-word and all that, But the angels, the same way they look at us is the same way the Lord and the angels looking at them, For reals. Like, like you fucking Jap, Facts. Like you freaking, like Esau, Like look at this red monkey. You know what I'm saying? The angels look at him the same way. Remember that, because you guys got backup. So the same way the heathens look at you, the same way the Lord and the angels look at them. Like, look at this, Look at this fresh right here, Look at this little crouton right here, talking trash. Just because what? Just because he or she knows how to run an iPad. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. When the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels. See, not no little so-called naked white babies flying around. That's pedophilia. Why does Esau have that? The so-called white man, the Vatican, and all that? Because he's a pedophile. And now you guys are starting to figure that out, because now they're all getting found out. Remember Epstein Island, all that? They're all pedophiles. It's not just one or two; it's a lot. There's a lot going on, because that is who he is. This man's a homosexual. Not only that, he's a pedophile. Okay, that's why they have that. But he convinced the whole world, like, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. Like, no, you think the Lord's up there with the angels, then they're all just naked and stuff? Nah, because that's Esau's fantasy. Because he's a pedophile. He's a homosexual. He actually likes that. Like for reals. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's why it's all coming out. Because that's who the man is. It's not just an acting like, okay, it was once or... No, this is who he is. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Let's go to, let's see. Psalms 104 and 3. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind, So right here, all right, Psalms 104:3, all right, who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, because the so-called UFOs are underneath the ocean as well. Who maketh the clouds his chariot? Okay, because the angels, remember, the angels can shapeshift, but not only that, but those ships, okay, those vehicles, all right, they can shapeshift because they're alive. All right, those ships are not like, your typical car where you put, diesel and gas, no, those the ships, they're alive too. They're a living organism. They shapeshift. They can take shape as a cloud. All right, the ships are like alive. That's what you gotta understand. The ships are not just like something, you put gas and diesel and, oh, this is my car right here. No, the ships are very spiritual. This is why this world can't figure them out. All right, and those are the vehicles for the Israelites. All right, but even the ships, so not only the angels, but even the so-called UFOs, they can shapeshift. They can disappear, reappear. They can go through portals. They can make themselves bigger, smaller, and we're talking real small. Hey, remember like that movie Ant-Man? How he made himself real small? And Chariot can do that. All right, the chariots and the angels, they can do that. They can make themselves so small that you won't even know. They'll be right there in the house with you, and you won't even know. Okay, the angels can do a lot. All right, imagine that. All right, just like in that movie Avengers, you see all like those guys' powers. The angels can do all that plus more, and that's for reals. It's not no fairy tale. The angels can actually do that. So imagine the Lord when he gets here. Their powers it's off the charts. Their powers. It's not just, all right, they have a few things. They got some lasers. No, they can do a lot, a lot. Okay, you remember like Ant-Man, he was able to make himself small. The angels can do that. The angels can make themselves big, small, and the ships too. They can make themselves like a size of a penny. They can make themselves like a size of an ant. They can make themselves huge, like 30 miles big. Yep, they have those capabilities. So how do you think Esau's gonna fight against that? He can't. Esau's about to get his ass whooped in front of the whole world, and we can't wait. We're watching because we can't wait, because this man's full of pride. But we're gonna watch him get beat down. But it's his fault. He's the one who wants to fight the Lord. He's the one, calling all the Israelites, the N-word and all that. So it's his fault. He's the one who wanted to fight. So, we don't want to hear no complaining, Esau, when you get your ass kicked by the Lord and the angels. And we're watching too, Facts. Absolutely. You can use any weapon, any team, anything you want. Remember, because it's your beatdown. You don't care, and we don't care how. If you want to go out in a tuxedo, you may say, well, I'm not going to go out quietly. We don't care if you go out whistling. The fact is, you're going to get your ass kicked, and we can't wait. We're watching, because remember, you're the one who wants to fight the Lord, not us. So the pressure's on you, my man. We're just watching you now because you're Mr. Badass, right? So now we're watching you. Like, fuck, you want to fight the Lord? You got it. Well, I got to see this. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters. Okay, because the so-called UFOs, they're underneath the ocean as well. Who maketh the clouds his chariot. Because the clouds, you might think in the sky like, oh man, that's a regular cloud right there, but that will be a chariot. A so-called UFO, a chariot of Israel. All right, chariot means like a vehicle. All right, that's how we call them. It's a chariot of Israel, because those are for us. All right, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. Psalms 104:4. Who maketh his angels spirits, his ministers a flaming fire. Right there. Okay, his ministers a flaming fire. So there you have it right there. This is what the Lord's telling us. Alright, because the angels don't have like your normal bodies. Okay, the angels have celestial bodies. So they can, they can do a whole lot. They can walk through walls. They can do a lot. They're different. They have different kind of bodies. Revelation chapter 1 verse 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindred of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. So let's break this down. Behold, he cometh with clouds. He's talking about Yahushai, who the world stubbornly calls Jesus Christ, coming with clouds, not your typical clouds. He's coming in those ships. All right, and the other scriptures that say that he's coming back like in a horse on a cloud. That white horse represents a spaceship. White represents pure. The horse represents power. Okay, because a lot of people think that he's coming back on a horse and stuff like that. It's not a physical horse. It's a metaphor. Because remember, the Lord's very poetic. He speaks in parables. So that horse is talking about a spaceship. Okay, so the Lord's coming back in a spaceship. It's not a literal like horse. Although he can, but it's not gonna. He's coming back. But that's not what the scriptures are saying. See, that's why you have to go through the prophets. Cause a lot of people will read that and think like, oh yeah, he's coming back on a horse, and and that's and it's not really talking down like on people like that. It's just that you don't really know what it's truly talking about. All right. A lot of people, and that, that's not like talking bad about people. It's just that some people don't have the 100% truth. So that right there, that's why the Lord sent the prophets to let you know what this book is really talking about. See, that's why these elites and these heathens, the Edomites, they're pissed. Because the whole time they thought that they're superior and all that, when it's the other way around. When the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, you guys are superior. Alright? And they're beneath you guys. And you guys are going to rule next. See, so now they're mad, See? Because why? The prophets are breaking it down, letting them know exactly what's going on. Remember, Donald Trump said that the Bible is his favorite book? This book talks about that how he's going to go into slavery, him and his people. Why would it be his favorite book? But that's because he's a Satanist. They're professional liars, and they'll lie to the end, but that's exactly what's going to happen, so that's why the prophets are back on the scene to properly warn you. Because if it was up to these leaders and these false churches and preachers that are under a 501c3 charter, who are getting paid to withhold information from you, who are getting paid to lie to you, you guys, people would be completely screwed out here. Because they're not going to tell you the truth, and they'll take that secret with them to their grave. You think they'll ever admit like, oh yeah, we're Satanists? They ain't going to admit that. They'll take that all the way down to their grave, and they are. Okay, because the Lord is going to do away with these Edomites. I'm not sure exactly what Donald Trump, but I know that he's an Edomite. So his future is slavery. But, the Lord can preserve him for slavery, or the Lord can judge him. I don't know, but one thing that I do know for sure is that, because that's up to the Lord. But one thing for sure is that he's an Edomite. 100, and he's on the left-hand side. He's a Satanist. 100%, 100%. Because if he was really like trying to get back with the Lord, we would tell you. All right, we would tell you like, yeah, he's actually, trying to get back with the Lord, like trying to repent and stuff. No, he's 100% Satanist. All right, and hey, whatever, people want to get mad, and that's on you. Remember, the prophets, we're ready to go all the way to the guillotines. We don't care if you guys, hate us or want to, persecute us. That's fine. We look forward to that. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we're still going to do the best that we can, and we're going to give you this truth. If we got to go guillotine, so be it. We're going to look at that thing with a smile, because we know how death works. So we can care less, baby. We can care less. Absolutely. Revelation chapter 1 verse 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds. So Yahushua is coming in those spaceships, and every eye shall see him, because the Yahushua spaceship is literally bigger than the earth. Can you imagine that? Think about that. The Lord's spaceship is literally bigger than the earth, and there's more than just one. It's not just one. There's a lot. And Esau wants to fight the Lord. This man's insane. But that's why we stay laughing out here. It's like, yeah, all right. These dudes are a trip. But you got it, Esau. You wanted to fight the Lord. You got it. You got it, mijo. And we're gonna watch. You little little crouton. And they also which pierced him. Okay, so right there proves reincarnation. because and they which pierced them. So because if the same people that were uh the same soldiers that pierced Yahushai, our Lord and Savior, to the cross a little over 2,000 years ago, they're back here today. They're somewhere out there, but they're back, and the Lord's gonna get them. So that proves reincarnation, because the prophets are back, the dukes are back, everybody's back. Okay, everybody's back in their lot. The believers, the helpers, the scoffers, the betrayers, they're all back. You know, it's just that this time everybody's back for their judgment. Yep, the whole world. And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so all men. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, said the Lord, which is, and which was, and which is to come. So right here it's and all the kindreds of the earth shall wail, because they're not just gonna be crying like a little bit, like, oh yeah, it's over. People wail, that means like people are gonna be crying like hysterically. Like when someone, like, they cry so much like they can't control it, that's how it's gonna be, because it's gonna be so frightful when the Lord gets here. You imagine his ship is bigger than the earth? I mean, you can't even like wrap your head around that, I can't. I believe it, but it's like, can I imagine it? I can't. I can try to envision it, but it's like, damn. Do I believe it? Of course, but can I imagine it? I mean, kind of, but it's big, and I'm in the face. So can you imagine the people in this world? That's why they laugh, like, yeah, right, But it's hard, Of course, like, I believe it, but it's hard to like put it into like picture, because imagine that, Imagine you look up and all you see is a spaceship. Imagine how loud the Lord's voice is gonna be. It's frightful, man. Imagine, like when a lion roars, it's like, damn, Imagine the Lord. Like when people are in the clubs, they have the music playing real loud. Like, damn, man, it's loud. I can't even hear. And that's just a few speakers. Imagine the Lord and the angels, how loud they're gonna be. You ever hear like thunderstorms and stuff like that? It's loud. All right, a volcano when it erupts, and those are just little elements. Imagine the Lord. It's frightful, man. And this nigga Esau wants to fight him. This dude's a clown, We're gonna watch him get his ass kicked, and we can't wait. That's what brings us most joy, because we hope that the Lord gives us mercy. We're fighting for salvation, but at the end of the day, we know that Esau's gonna get his ass kicked, and that's why we're laughing, because we can't wait, and we're watching this proud dude, because they think that just because they can build some robots, they got him. This is a must see right here. This is a must see. And remember, not only does the Lord have a chariot that's bigger than the world, but he has trillions of so-called UFOs. Just, we're talking many. So with that, that's it on today's lesson. The willing, the hopeful elect was edified and faith boosted. And the Lord willing, I'll do a part 2 on the chariots of Israel to hit more scriptures. All right, so with that, keep the faith, and just stay on the path. It doesn't matter what you go through. Just remember, at the end of the day, just keep it real, and the Lord's gonna make a way for you. Just keep it real, be good to people. Remember, even if someone don't believe, that don't give you a green light to just treat them like trash. Unless they're like scoffing and talking crap, then rebuke them, but just get away from them, But don't, just because you're in this truth, you start looking at people like, oh yeah, you can't talk to me, I'm the truth, and you don't know nothing. Don't be like that, because the Lord will judge you. Just, be cool, and because you never know, the Lord might wake that person up. All right, so just be a good person. Don't worry about just what you guys need to do. All right, so just be a good person. Be honest. Don't worry about the scoffers and non-believers. Remember, they're out of there. And that is for sure. All right, but just do the best you can. All right, stay on the path. Just keep it real. On your feet, soldier. Shalom.